Hey, welcome back to another MeetEdgar live stream. Today, I'm really excited about our topic of introducing 6 different posts that'll actually help turn your leads and your followers into paying customers and raving fans that you might be missing out in your social media strategy. So this really goes along the lines of the fact that social media should be always value adding. It shouldn't be something that you feel like your CTAs have to necessarily be super salesy all the time. However, every single post should have a strategy behind it, and they should be including a CTA in it, even if that CTA is just to get to know you a little better. CTA being call to action. So why do you really want this? It is truly because social media exists to streamline your marketing and to make sure ideal clients get to know you, so they are actually reaching out to you in order to purchase your product or in order to purchase your service, not you always directly selling to them. You see the difference there? And you don't want to have to worry all the time about where you're going to find your next client or your next purchaser for your product or your service. You want them reaching out because they saw your valuable content on social media, because they got to know your personality and they really resonate and connect with it, and they feel like you are the right person to work with or purchase from. So that's the beauty of social media, right? And that's the beauty of having a strategy behind it and not just leaving it up in the air. So first, let's really chat about the reality that you can't be on social media all the time, talking to your clients all the time, picking up the phone and reaching out to them. But you can make sure your social media posts live longer in people's feeds to really make sure that you're essentially multitasking with your social media posts, having a dialogue with your followers. Do you see how that works? Your social media posts are almost a stand-in for the fact that you can't talk to every single one of your followers or every single person that you want to have that great networking conversation with. That's what your social media posts are doing for you. So you're essentially cloning yourself into these posts to make sure you're having the right conversation with the right people in order to move them down your funnel, in order to get them to trust you, to purchase from you, and feel good about the results that they're getting in their life. So today, we're going to go over these posts that have some sort of loose calls to action in them for how people get to know if you're the right person to work with. Remember, our goal on social media is to kick it to a heck yes or a heck no for people choosing to purchase from you. That heck no is just as important as heck yes. It's those people in the middle who are wishy-washy that you really aren't going to see anything from, right? So we want to make sure that we are presenting ourselves fully out there and not doing these silly hacks or marketing tricks, but just putting ourselves out there, putting our mission out there, and making sure, like I said, that the actual posts are having a dialogue. And the good news here is really that none of this is going to be hard. It's not even going to require you to write a blog post. These posts completely are just coming from your heart and making sure that your value is always front and center. And why this really works best, I think, is described by Seth Godin in his distinction between permission-based marketing as well as interruption marketing. So permission-based marketing is essential to having a great social media presence, because if people are engaging with your posts, Facebook's algorithm gives that post a bigger reach. That is permission from your followers saying, yes, this is a valuable post. I want to see more of your messaging. I want to see more posts from you. If someone comments on every single one of your posts, the feed will show them every single one of your posts that comes up. So social media marketing is permission-based marketing in that way, right? Interruption marketing is kind of like someone is feeling interrupted by your content because it's not adding value to them. You're just selling to them. They feel like it's not fitting in with their desires and stuff like that. So if you would feel like you are someone who's just not getting that engagement, and if you feel like you're just not getting your message out there, let's dive into some posts that are really going to help you accomplish this. So post number 1 is the explainer. So we always want to know the origin story, where people came from. And this really helps connect your customers to your story, and it helps them decide, is this the right person? Why should I choose you over the competitors that are out there? You would love to have someone have a great understanding of your unique selling proposition. So you need to explain that to them. And it should be one of the first posts that people see when they see posts from you show up in their feed after following. So I'm going to push you to add in more explainer posts to your social media strategy than you might be comfortable with today. At least give it a try. Everything in social media truly is about experimenting. And I would love for you to do this, a few of them on video. It is one of the strongest ways to connect your followers to your mission and to your value. values. And if you're freaking out right now because I just said video and you're not comfortable on camera, take a breath. I think one of the biggest struggles people have with video is thinking that you have to be a certain way or talk a certain way or accomplish the perfect smile or something like that. That's just not true. That's almost the opposite of what these explainer posts are really good at. And that's for people to connect with the real you, your real personality. So there's no rules on exactly how you should have to show up on video. Who you are and what you do is good enough, and it should be explained in your social media strategy on one of the first 3 to 5 posts that people see from you. You know, at MeetEdgar and our social media automation tool, we use categories in order to make sure you're getting a good ratio of posts going out. So if you're someone who uses our scheduling tool, perhaps consider creating an origin story category, a get to know you category, an explainer category, whatever you want to call it. You see the point here. And then popping that onto your schedule multiple times a week. You want to make sure your new followers always have the option to connect with you in this way. And I promise your old followers will not be annoyed by seeing you show up and connecting to another human. I think that's one of the things that scares us the most and really makes us step out of our consistency that we know is going to help grow social media so much more. All right, so in your explainer posts and in these origin story posts, remind yourself that you need to sometimes make posts that are about your credentials, you know, why you deserve the attention that you're getting. What have you done in your past? Weave your story into these, of course, but if you have any sort of credentials that really speak well, if you were featured on someone's podcast, that could be a really great thing to add in there. Even these small things really do add up, and they can all make up really good explainer posts to really help people, you know, understand why you're qualified to teach them or to sell them that product or service. So you want to really talk about this in these posts in the context of your followers' needs. So this is a little bit of a tricky distinction, but stick with me here. You want to say something like, when you introduce yourself, often you'll be like, hey, I am a fitness instructor, let's say. So that's you saying, you know, I am XYZ. In these explainer posts, I would prefer for you to make this in context to the person who's following you and their needs. So rather than saying, I am a fitness instructor, you can say something like, I help you lose your body fat and get down to 6% body fat or something. You see how that slight difference is now putting your talents in the viewpoint of your followers and in the context of their life? That's what connection is really about in these explainer posts. So if you're someone who looks at all of your origin story posts and you're seeing, I am a social media coach, or I am a someone who sells body lotion or something like that, make sure you say, I help, and really switch that around to provide the context of what your followers are going to get from you. That's a way better explainer post and a way better way to connect with your followers. Post number 2 is going to be testimonials. You know you need social proof out there. People love to make sure that other people have received the results that they want to get. And it really positions you as someone whose products and services are in demand. These things are really important to people when they make purchasing decisions. So don't be losing out just because you're afraid to reach out to your community to ask for a testimonial from them. You know, a video testimonial really does best to tell that story. If you can't get a video testimonial, ask if you can use a photo of someone in there, slap a photo in there, get your testimonials going out. I promise it's a great way to increase your sales and to provide the results that you're going to get in a really genuine way. Post type number 3 is the post that really, I think, shows that you understand people the most. And it's that, like, do you know what your followers actually desire? Do you know the results that they actually want in their life? This goes back to making sure that you're using the language that people describe the problem and pain point they have in your posts. You want everyone to say, yes, they get my problem way better than anyone else in this industry does. And that's when they choose to work for you. So how you do this? You tell stories. Honestly, that's the best way in order to do that. You can say something like, in my past, XYZ, sorry, there's a thunderstorm outside and the lightning caught my eye for a minute. So this goes into telling a story, making sure you're weaving your narrative through it, and making sure that you always, always are giving your followers that background and making sure they have all of the information to make a sound purchasing decision. So why is your service there? What is it going to help people achieve? Tell them that. What are the specific results that people are going to see? Tell them that. Make sure you're telling them the story within within your posts here. All right, post number 4 is the let's get personal post. So when you're going to share intimate details, oftentimes it's kind of a fine line I feel like people walk in order to understand, is this too vulnerable or is this going to be helpful? So one of the reasons you like to share personal details for your business social media is because it can really broaden your reach. So oftentimes you'll see, there's a lot of female entrepreneurs out there who are moms who bring their children into their social media posts a lot of the time. And this helps broaden their reach when they give tips about parenting, even if their product or service has nothing to do with parenting. Moms who might be really hungry for parenting advice from business career women are going to probably end up following you if you're sharing really valuable resources. You're bringing them into your sphere, and they just like to consume your content that's personal. But for a while, you're bringing them in there, and maybe eventually, if you play the long game, they're going to see the value in your actual product or service. So these are kind of brand awareness posts for broadening your reach, but it's also a really great way to make sure that your community feels bonded to you. So if you don't have any pictures of your face showing up in your social media feeds, please make sure you add a category into your strategy today that has photos and videos of who you and who your team are. And if you regularly share the same types of stuff, this is what we refer to as sticky personal posts. Pat Flynn does this with Back to the Future. He talks about his love for Back to the Future a lot. And whenever people see Back to the Future stuff out in the wild, oftentimes they'll take a picture and tweet it at him because he's so well known for having that as a hobby. So that's kind of the cool thing about doing this on a regular basis. A lot of people will talk about their dogs on a regular basis. And if someone sees that kind of dog out in the wild, it gets that brand awareness in their head and it gets that sort of connection. So they're thinking about your brand. So make sure that you have those sticky things about what you talk about a lot that are just strictly personal, that are going to help your business in that way of raising brand awareness and raising your reach into different communities. So just try this one if you haven't yet. I think you'll be really surprised at your results here. And really, you're not expected to be perfect at all of these. So if you feel like you're writing these posts and you're like, I don't know if this is right, please just try it. I promise you're not doing it wrong. You're just expected to show up and be relatable. You're not expected to be perfect on social media. All right, post number 5 is going to be questions. So often we forget that listening is one of the biggest things that we can do in order to improve our social media understanding of our community. So ask questions, big questions, small questions, icebreaker questions, Google them up, add them into your social media strategy. People love answering them, and it's going to really help you get to have a well-rounded view of who your followers are, their hobbies, their desires, their wants and dreams, and you use all of that language, wrap it back up into your social media strategy so that your followers feel like you are listening and reflecting back to them the lifestyle that they desire. So I also always encourage open-ended questions. I think a lot of the time we like to ask short and simple questions, which I've talked about. The benefit of that is you'll get more people actually answering them. But don't forget to throw some open-ended questions in there that will allow you to network with people and continue the conversation. Anytime you can get a conversation continued beyond just one reply from someone, but you get a few replies going on there, that is gold and magic for increasing the reach of your posts. And open-ended questions can really allow you to follow up with more questions to the people who respond. So really make sure you're putting the time in and having an engagement strategy with these question posts. All right, post type number 6 is going to be thought leadership on curated content. So again, I told you at the beginning here, you're not going to have to create a lot more blog posts or a lot more content in order to accomplish these posts. And curated content is one of the best ways to provide your followers some of the greatest industry news to keep them up to date, but not have to actually create or become an expert in areas that you perhaps aren't passionate about. So you can share things from other people's blogs in the industry. You're creating great connections and collaboration that way, which is always good. But it also gives you the opportunity to talk about why you like the article, why you didn't like the article, what you agreed with it, what you disagreed with, opening yourself up and starting a conversation and asking your followers if they agree or disagree. These discussions are so important. And I think that you'll find it's a really great way, like I mentioned, to increase the frequency of your posts on social media without feeling like you're on that content creation treadmill all the time, having to come up with new blog posts, new podcasts, new videos all of the time. Cool. So I would love for you to increase the frequency of these non-salesy posts and see what it does for people actually reaching out to you when you share yourself, when you share your mission, and when you share how you can help people and you reflect their language back to them and you position yourself as someone who is staying up to date on what's going on in your industry. All of these things truly are related to sales. And first impressions on social media are just as important as first impressions in real life, in my opinion, for your business. So make sure that you're putting some of these posts in a little more often than you might like to, just because I want to make sure that these are showing up as one of the first 3 to 5 posts that your followers see, and they're not just seeing strictly blog posts or strictly promotional posts from you all of the time. These really do help increase the amount of people you reach as well. And I think that brand awareness part of like, it takes 7 to 10 touch points in order for someone to become really loyal to your brand. That number seems to be increasing every single year. And the amount of people you have to talk to in order to connect one person to your brand is a pretty big amount. So on social media, use these posts as your little ambassadors to go out and talk to people. Remind yourself that's essentially their job, is to communicate the message and the mission that you have inside to your followers more often. So make sure that you remind yourself too of some like old school sales strategies and old school sales books go into this idea that, it takes about 5 to 12 follow-ups after the initial call, like an old salesman had, in order to get a yes from a person. So if they were calling 5 to 12 times, essentially, social media makes that part so much easier for you, right? You get those 5 to 12 connections in a way that you can systemize and get out on social media and not actually have to pick up the phone all those times. So be real grateful for that is what I always say. And really remember, people are purchasing in life for 2 reasons: to either avoid pain or to increase pleasure. And I think that these posts can really help show both of those things in a really unique way, where you're not being exploitive about it. You're just simply putting the value out there and allowing people to self-select in if your product or service is right for them. So plan these posts. Please make sure that you're either using a tool like MeetEdgar, our social media automation tool, to load these posts into your library, or you have some sort of plan by using a different system. But plan these out ahead of time. We hate making choices throughout the day, and we hate making decisions throughout the day. And often this can lead to indecision and inaction when it comes to posting on social media. So I would really love for you to plan these out so you have no excuse not to post at all. This part I kind of like to compare to like dieting. It truly is. If you get out there and plan your food for the day before you actually start eating, it's much more unlikely you're going to reach for that junk food. Same on social media. If you take the time to plan ahead of time, it's much more likely you'll get a consistent, really great post out there rather than just a junk post that's going in contributing to the noise and not the value online. So healthy choices for your food and healthy choices for your business all starts with planning it out. So make sure you do have this plan, take these posts seriously, and let me know how it goes. I'm super curious to hear. And most of all, as you're doing this, really relate all of this back to the understanding that every single post is there to raise your brand awareness and to make sure that your value and your kind of personal vibe really get out there. So adding these in is not going to take away from your sales posts. They're only going to enhance them. Awesome. Go ahead and give it a try. I'm really excited to hear how it goes. Comment in the comments on this video if you have any success with this, or if you have any other feedback for how our live streams are going, or email support@meetedgar.com, and we are always happy to chat. Have a good one, guys.